All right, our sixth panellist tonight is Judith Curran from our Big Blue Backyard. Judith joined Natural History New Zealand in 2001, and she's been the driving force behind a wide range of high-profile documentaries which have screened on networks around the world. Her subject matter is really broad. It's been the exploits of young orangutans in Borneo jungle, vintage fashion glamour in LA, survivors of terrifying shark attacks, and high-profile Chinese conservationist who investigates horrific rhino and elephant poaching in Africa. One of her latest series is the ratings blockbuster which hit our screens late last year, TVNZ's Our Big Blue Backyard, funded by New Zealand On Air Platinum Fund. And it gives us an intimate, those of you who have seen it, and I'm sure that's all of you, it gives us a really intimate look at the daily dramas of some of our most charismatic marine animals, and it struck a chord with New Zealanders, which is still resonating. A key theme in the series was the interconnectedness of ocean ecosystems, which is a perfect parallel to our theme tonight on the Seaweek panel. Judith believes the key issue facing the Hauraki Gulf is getting Kiwis to care about the Gulf and all our marine environments, and how the media can play a part in that. Would you please give a warm welcome to Judith Curran?
Thank you. I'm an interloper from the South Island who spent the last couple of weeks on a crash course on the marine spatial planning and the issues surrounding the declining health of Tikapa Moana and the Hauraki Gulf Marine Park. I knew nothing about it before, and now I know a bit. I guess I'm here on this panel in such esteemed company because one thing I do well is how to win over a diverse and notoriously difficult to please television audience and make them care about something enough to make a difference, which I think is a theme that we've touched on many times tonight. I'm going to talk quickly because I'm scared of the buzzer. So this is my story as to why I'm on this panel. From 2012 through 2013, I led a team of directors, cinematographers, both topside and underwater, editors, and all the other creative people required to make an underwater wildlife series. The result was the television series, which screened in November, December last year on TV1, Our Big Blue Backyard. In one of those miracles of coincidence, the series seemed to be broadcast at a time when the New Zealand Herald was reporting on recent frightening statistics surrounding water quality in the Hauraki Gulf, the effect on ecosystems, declining fish stocks, and biological invaders, etc. While every Sunday evening for 6 weeks, from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m, up to 750,000 Kiwis watched the series every night as it went live to air. Numerous kids put down their electronic gadgets to watch with their families, something that's practically unheard of these days. Social media on Sunday nights trended with, "Oh my God, I didn't know that" comments. People gathered around water coolers the next day, if those things exist, I'm not really sure, to talk about the series. They also talked on buses, in taxis, cafes, schools, even politicians and marine scientists loved the series. The 3 episodes we filmed over many months in the North Island were the Northland Harbours, the Poor Knights Islands, and the Goat Island Marine Reserve. These 3 magnificent neighbourhood narratives, with their cast of hero characters, including an orcapod, numerous stingrays, a big old charismatic snapper known as monkey face, and a species of fish with the ability to change sex when necessary, are all representative of neighbourhoods which used to exist or are struggling to exist in the Hauraki Gulf today. Our audience fell in love with New Zealand's marine environments during this series all over again. They reconnected. For some, it was the saga of the little hermit crab dragging his new shell across the sea floor. For others, it was the stark truth that barnacles have the largest penis in the natural world in relation to body size. There was the revelation that during dolphin sex, the female is always on top. And then the concept that orca females are one of only 3 mammals which undergo menopause. I wanted this series to be distinctive, to surprise the audience and rate well enough for the TVNZ executives to sit up and take notice. All of that happened. And now I'm excited that Our Big Blue Backyard has become woven into the sea change narrative as it evolves. The very best stories inspire emotions, provoke debate, and can inspire change. I believe my series has achieved that. And the overwhelming response from the audience proves that Kiwis do want change, and I think they can make it happen. I ask all of those involved in creating this marine spatial plan that as they go forward with their process, examining each issue behind the issue, undergoing the process of achieving consensus amongst all of those stakeholders, when you scrutinise your outcomes, please ask yourselves, will these outcomes impact positively on the courageous female crayfish as they march towards their special spawning spot? Or will they mean less shells for the little hermit crab to protect his vulnerable body in his journey across the sea floor? Less snapper, like monkey face, to eat those pesky kinna? And even less barnacles waving their majestic penises around as the tide changes. I think we'd all agree we want more of all of that forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. That was lovely. I enjoyed it. I wanted to toot my
thought
hooter
you
more
might.
often than I did. Other comments from the rest of you about how we turn that moment into something that lasts even longer, I guess. Yeah.
I can't quite announce it tonight, but it's looking pretty positive.
That's great.
Is it a matter of connecting those Decile 1 schools? It's a matter of those programs that are already out there, you know, the singular message. I mean, Sam and I, quite a few years ago now, ran a marine debris forum, and basically it was everybody that was out there that was dealing with marine debris just coming up with a single message, but also a single monitoring method. So that if he's counting the 1.5 tonne of rubbish that he picks up on Rangitoto in a week, and I'm counting what I pick up on Point Share Beach, we count the same thing and they mean the same message. So what I put out there is that there are stakeholders everywhere, as I said before, that the consciousness is growing. But it's the positive stuff and it's a singular message that goes through. If Sam's got them on a boat, let's show them an episode while they're on a boat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the reason I listed all those little critters there with the hermit crab and the barnacles particularly, which are one of my favourites, I mean, the thing is, there was some very, amazing charismatic species in that series as well. We had the great white sharks, we had the orca, we had the dolphins, we had all the amazing octopus behaviour. But really, what stood out for me was that people were just focusing in on, barnacles, the little hermit crab story, things that are so commonplace, but they became so symbolic of everybody's nostalgia that, what we've touched on tonight about that growing up next to the sea. And it just felt like this series somehow rekindled that in New Zealanders. And, there was just this immense power that came out of, that period of this screening of this documentary series. It is quite unheard of these days to get that sort of response to something, and particularly to have people sit and watch it live to air. So, I am extremely hopeful that, not just that series, but it proves that that Kiwis are ready for that sort of change. So, I think that's the symbol of, my story tonight.
I'm going to rain on the parade a little bit here, but before I do so, can I just congratulate you on the series. Remarkable achievement and incredible imagery, and something that I enjoyed too. It's been a lifelong passionate advocate for New Zealand's marine environment. So to bring that into people's living rooms, I just think was so needed for so long. So congratulations. Here comes the rain. Entertainment is a fantastic thing, but that's all that is. It's only the first step in engaging people in the real issues. What we've got as a major problem is how we convert capturing people's interest, imagination, and through entertainment to a point where they're willing to make behaviour change that makes a difference. And the critical issue becomes, to make behaviour change that makes a difference means that people have to make sacrifices. All of us have to make sacrifices about the things that we like to do, that we like to eat, and for some of us that we've considered our birthright as New Zealanders. And that means that people like me have to say, you know what, I'm not going to catch recreational fish anymore. I'm not going to order fish at a restaurant, because somebody sooner or later has to put their hand up and say, I'm going to look myself in the mirror and start to make some of those sacrifices.
I was just going to say, I agree to some extent, but I have to say, I have seen this happen, even in incremental steps that have come from, like, okay, so with my orangutan series that was on Animal Planet, 26 episodes, mainly for the US market, I had people commenting on forums about, as a result of watching that delightful series about these little baby orangutans, about how they had no idea that Kentucky Fried Chicken used palm oil that came from the Borneo rainforests. Oh my God, you know, we're going to have to stop buying KFC. And, you know, that's just one example. The other example, which is incredibly relevant, because I just saw this tonight, just before I came here, you heard that I made an extraordinary feature documentary about an iconic Chinese guy going to Africa to see for himself what was happening with the epidemic of poaching in Africa, you know, which could see elephants and rhino be extinct in our lifetime. This documentary went to air in May last year in China. It was the first time they'd ever shown a big conservation documentary in China on CCTV, which is the public network. There's been a 50% reduction in demand for ivory and rhino, and a huge, overwhelming upswelling of people understanding the issues that has just been put out, and it's I just shared it on Facebook tonight. I mean, I was just blown away by that. So it can happen, and you know, and storytelling can be the kernel of that. I think it's a start. It's baby steps, and all these other things come into it. But you know, I'm blown away sometimes how you can capture the imagination of people with that sort of story.
Great, Judith. Thank you. Round of applause for Judith, please.